Yes, the NCAA is facing a ton of challenges. Yes, their teams and the conference realignment is not making it easier. Yes, there are discussions about Cal and Stanford joining the ACC. And most importantly, yes, I understand that the Atlantic Coast Conference is now holding meetings. Matter of fact, Pete Thamel earlier today tweeted out sources. So according to Thamel's sources, ACC presidents met this morning for exploratory call on Cal and Stanford. As expected, no vote taken. The league is still evaluating the potential decision. Do you know what I hope? I hope and I wish, as a fan of the ACC, as somebody who is professionally invested in the ACC, right, as somebody who was at ACC kickoff, I hope that the ACC is talking with everyone in college sports, that they had already been talking with Stanford and Cal, that they're not just talking to Stanford and Cal, that this is not everything they're doing, okay? I know for a fact that there are meetings taking place around the country that right now could possibly shake up college football and college sports as we know it. Some are about realignment. Some are about other big changes that might shake things up even more. Whether you agree or disagree with the changes, you should want to be in that meeting. Kelsey Riggs earlier today was on the Adam Gold Show. She comes from the ACC Network. This is what she had to say about the mentality around the ACC currently.
I do think the ACC programs are strong. They're continuing to head in the right direction for some of the ones that have maybe fallen off a little bit or we're still building. So you've got to have the wins, but it really depends on the day because everybody was freaking out a couple days ago last week because of Florida State. And now all of this stuff happens with the news yesterday of these exploratory talks. So it's hour by hour, it's day by day. I think all in all, it's what is the solution? And it's probably not like a long-term solution, I think personally. Like, what is the solution now? What can you do now? And that might not be the same thing that helps you in 3 years or in 5 years or even in 2 months. But maybe the solution now is at least looking at these schools and talking and having these exploratory conversations to see if there is more they can do or not.
The solution is exploratory calls. The solution is being as informed as you gosh darn possibly can. If there's one thing that has been proven, nobody is in every decision-making room. Right? USC, UCLA are going to the Big Ten. Guess what? Alabama and Georgia didn't know about that, I guarantee you. Not until it was already past the point of no return. Texas and Oklahoma are joining the SEC. Even Texas A&M, who's in the SEC, likely didn't know that was happening until it was past the point of no return. So no one is going to make sure you're in the meetings, right? Nobody, when they're making the decisions that could potentially change everything, are going to call roll and say, ACC present? No? All right, well, let's wait until the ACC gets here. No, you're going to have to force your way into those meetings. So I hope that the ACC was talking to Washington and Oregon. I hope they were talking to Stanford and Cal. I hope they were talking to Arizona and Arizona State. I hope they were talking to, Florida State before they, everybody that you can possibly learn from, you want to be learning from, even if it's just to find out what they know, what they want to do, so you can have the contingency plans. If yesterday was the first time that the ACC reached out or had serious conversations about Stanford and Cal joining the ACC, I'd be ashamed in the ACC. The first time they should have talked about Stanford and Cal was every day over the last 4 years. It's that on, and not just Stanford and Cal, right? They should have been thinking about West Virginia and Kansas, and they should have been thinking about Memphis, and they should have been thinking about UCF and Cincinnati and before they jumped to the Big 12. They should have been thinking about all of this and talking with them. Right? In any trade market, right? Fantasy football. I don't care if you trade Pokemon cards. I don't care if you trade, maybe you're into cars and you buy and fix up and sell. I don't care if you're in real estate, right? You should always want to know what the offers are out there on everything. Okay, UCF, what's the Big 12 offering you? What are you offering them? You'll take a lesser share of the media money? Okay, what kind of contract are you willing to, you should know just because, hey, I might be able to beat that offer. There's nothing worse than seeing something sold for a price that's well below what you would have paid for it. And you want to go, oh, why didn't you let me know? I could have beat that. Right? Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC. You're looking at it going, we would have done better than that. Right? Maybe you would have. Maybe you wouldn't have. But at least you would have known ahead of time. You want to be in those conversations. So that's why it's like news leaks, Stanford and Cal. Actually, shout out to everybody on our YouTube page. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our page at 99.9 The Fan. On a video we posted yesterday about the initial reports that Stanford and Cal kind of were in talks and were going to be talked about by the ACC. One of the comments said, I forget if it was a question or a statement, but the gist of it was, the ACC didn't reach out to them. They reached out to the ACC, meaning Stanford and Cal are desperate to find a conference, so they reached out to the ACC. And I went, that would be worse. That would be worse. The ACC should not be sitting around and waiting for people to call them. Right? Do the whole, friend you haven't seen in a while thing. Hey, so what's going on? No, just called to chat.
Marilyn, how have you been?
How have you been? It's been a while. Right?
What have you learned since we last talked?
You remember the good old days where your fans used to chant mean things at J.J. Redick? Ha, ha, ha. Funny times.
Remember that game with Mike Glenn? Well, maybe we don't want to bring that up if we're talking to Maryland about coming back.
Yeah, only positive memories. Juan Dixon. But, no, but seriously, what are they saying in all those Big Ten meetings that you're part of? Oh, yeah, ha, 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 now that the pleasantries are over. Have you talked with Michigan recently? What are they saying? Have they said anything about me? What do you think about Oregon? Gather information. I've never once heard somebody say, I really made a bad decision. It was because I had too much information. Right? It's always, I didn't have enough. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. So get the information, call the teams, do what you have to do. And if they don't answer, call them again. And if they don't answer, text them and say, hey, are you ignoring my calls? Then call them again. Be clingy, be annoying until they tell you what you want to hear.